In 2019, Remedy took us on a surreal supernatural adventure through the headquarters of the shadowy government entity known as the FBC. And this year, we're venturing outside to explore New York City like we've never seen it before. Here to tell us about Control Resonant, creative director Mikael Kasurinen. Welcome.
Thank you, great to be here.
So you have a brand new game coming out very soon, and Mitchell Saltzman, one of my esteemed colleagues at IGN, got a chance to go play it, and we have some B-roll from the game, from the demo, which I didn't get to play, but you got a chance to make. And I want to hear what's going on here, both in terms of combat and in terms of story. Where are we? What's happening? I've seen a little bit of the game so far, but this is all new.
Oh yeah, this is an absolutely awesome mission in the game. It is an early stage where the FBC is trying very much to figure out how to deal with all the different threats that are coming across Manhattan. And basically they created this device that kind of goes through this liminal space of these patterned different apartments. And basically Dylan needs to kind of get to the bottom of it and hook up the device. And yeah, as you can see, it's not it's not the safe space in any kind of a form. So basically you have to fight a lot of hiss that is for some reason drawn to this part of the world. And yeah, as you can see, combat is quite hectic. Aggression, speed, moving through the environment in this kind of a fast pace, using the different shapes of the world, different forms of your melee attacks. You have a shape-shifting weapon. I can't quite see it. There's I think it's a flurry that the character has right now. And you can kind of shift the shape on the run by triggering different actions, and the weapon just changes shapes depending on which attack you choose to use. And yeah, as you can see, it's pretty.
It's intense.
It is intense.
You guys really, you don't have to go out of your way to make an entirely new game in an entirely new genre. Like Control was dope. It was our game of the year. It was a great third-person shooter with supernatural abilities, and you're like, let's do a melee game outside. Which came first, the idea to completely sort of shift the play style, or to focus on our new protagonist, Dylan?
I think the decision with the protagonist came first. I always knew that I wanted to first do a game about Jesse, and the second one is going to be about Dylan. Control, these two games are all about the siblings, and the stories revolve always around the two. In the first game, Jesse is looking for Dylan. In the second game, well, Dylan is looking for Jesse. And a big part of the thinking was there's this philosophy of two sides of a coin. So both siblings have their own kind of a, let's say, personality, approach, ways of doing things. And if Jesse uses a gun, then yeah, of course, Dylan uses a melee weapon.
Tell us a little bit more about the melee weapon. It's what's it called? It's got a very specific name.
Yes, it's called the Aberrant.
The Aberrant. What is it?
So basically, the game starts with Jesse waking Dylan up by stabbing him. I know, unconventional, not your favorite way to wake up, but that's how the game starts.
Siblings.
Yes, exactly, siblings. And basically what is happening in the beginning is Dylan is in a coma, and Jesse has concocted a way to wake him up, and part of it is to utilize the board, this kind of a strange entity that is very, I think, known to the fans from the first game. And through that, let's call it a procedure / ritual, he wakes up, and then the board kind of manifests as this weapon. And the board is an interesting character on its own, and they're not necessarily, I don't know, not happy of the situation, but it is a situation where this kind of drastic measures are needed. Everything's very unplanned, it's chaotic, and so on. It's an aberration of procedure to the board, and that's where the name of the weapon comes from.
Okay. Now, the architecture in Control games is pretty brutalist, and I would say the lore is maybe Baroque. It's very weird, it's very confusing. There's a lot going on here. Excuse me. For anybody who didn't play the first game, are they just being thrown into the deep end, or is there any kind of effort to make it accessible to people who are just first-timers here because they want to swing a big sword around?
I think we put a lot of trust on the players with this game, so we do throw them a bit into the deep end. But there are like, guardrails and things around you that allows you to kind of understand what is happening. There are like a new character called Zoe De Vera that you meet basically within the first 5 minutes of the game as you step onto the streets of New York. And she is an outsider to all the things that happen in the first Control game. She doesn't know who Jesse is, she doesn't know about the Hiss, and so on. She has a lot of questions. And basically she becomes Dylan's handler. And through that, if you're an outsider to Control, if you've never played it, there are like a lot of these elements in the framework that allows you to understand and kind of dive deeper into what this world is about, what the game is about. And I always believed in ways of storytelling where we don't like explain to the players like this is what you're about to see. Let them just see it, And it can be weird and strange and confusing, but still I think that's what's cool about it. Let people kind of take in what they're watching, and then they have like all the means to dig in and like find narrative documents, talk with characters and so on. And sometimes it's fun when there's a bit of a mystery, like not everything is explained.
It's good that it's weird and confusing. That's kind of part of the fun. Now, we just saw a little bit of a chunk where Dylan's jumping around in this sort of omnidimensional apartment complex. Most of the game we've seen so far has been set outdoors. Sort of what's the structure in terms of how this game is laid out, and how much is interior versus exterior?
Right, so the game is mostly outside. And again, it's this other side of the coin. If the first game was like inside a brutalistic, almost like a manufactured claustrophobic space, then the second game, the sibling, is outside, the sun is shining, and it's agoraphobic, I think is the word. Like it's kind of, we turn things upside down with the second game. And the idea here is that they complement each other. They belong together in a way, even though they show two different sides of, let's say, a personality, if you will. And that was a kind of a key starting point for the experience. The structure, actually, of the game is not that different from the first Control game. In the first Control game, you access the oldest house through these different sectors. And each sector was like basically this bubble that you enter that is filled with different types of quests, different types of things for you to explore, mysteries, other activities, and so on. We took the same philosophy and then applied it on top of Manhattan, basically. So you have these things we call zones, and each zone has very different characteristics. We take the kind of underpinning of like what is inherently part of Manhattan, but it's more like this kind of a canvas at the bottom. And then we layer on top of that these different paranatural forces, objects of power on the loose. The time of day is actually different per zone because the time is kind of like stuck, in these different parts of the city. And you can actually freely walk from one zone to another. It's actually Remedy first, where you can actually walk through the entire world. It's not open world, I don't want to say that. We're not doing GTA. That's not the point. We want the world that has a story. It's a bespoke, considered world, and every part of the world is thought through. It has an identity, and we have a saying inside the studio like paint with strong colors. So we want things to kind of pop and be interesting. Everywhere you go, it has a story to tell.
Nice. Now, speaking of the story, the rift between universes was squidged around a little bit with Alan Wake 2. That definitely got some Control in there. Is there going to be some overlap between that and here? You've got FBC Firebreak in the middle there somewhere. I guess this is a long-winded way of saying, is Ahti the janitor going to show up?
Ahti is a very busy person, I got to say. I don't want to spoil anything. I don't want to reveal any kind of a secrets yet. It's too early, man. But of course, what is important to us is that every game and experience that we create stand on their own 2 feet. It's an independent journey. It has a beginning and an end, and you can have a very satisfying, gratifying experience by playing through it. But of course, there's this kind of a feeling that you see these seeds that lead a little bit outside of the experience. But we want to be careful with that because we don't want the players to feel like it's not the full package. So we are very mindful of that.
Nice. Now, ahead of Control 1, the first one, I talked to Sam Lake and the writer Anna about inspirations for it, and they name-checked House of Leaves and Jeff Vandermeer's Southern Reach trilogy. which I think is 4 books now. You guys have talked about infamous Second Son and Neon Genesis Evangelion as being inspirations, or at least sort of like influences. Can you talk about how that's going to manifest at all?
Yes. Well, I was just blown away in the 90s when I saw Neon Genesis Evangelion for the first time. I just, it's kind of weird feel like, is this allowed? Can you do stories like this? It went against convention in such a way. And it fully embraced like the sense of mystery, a world that you entered that felt like it existed. It didn't want to explain to you. There was like basically no exposition. There's this just weird shit that kind of happened. Tokyo under assault by these strange kind of interdimensional beings that they don't understand at all, but they've been fighting against them already for ages and so on. There's this deep lore and history to the world and so on. And then Shinji, of course, as the main character, who's very much like defying expectations, as somebody who's like out of his depth, definitely not ready to face all the things that he's facing. And then, of course, there's the father figure and so on. So there are these layers there that I think people are kind of hopefully seeing that has been like a big influence on what Control Resonant is.
That is a fantastic answer. I love that you are willing to share that. Art doesn't exist in a vacuum, and it's really cool to kind of hear that kind of insight. I also hope that in the final stretch of making this game, you don't have a complete nervous breakdown like the guy who made Evangelion did.
Let's hope so.
The good news is it's coming out very soon. Control Resonant will be coming to Xbox Series, PlayStation 5, and PC on September 24th. But in the meantime, there's plenty more IGN Live coming up. Stick around.